Hello, wonderful people. My name is Andy Nguyen, and I'm a software engineer that works at Liberty Mutual, a global Fortune 100 insurance company. Welcome to my presentation, moving from CloudFormation YAML to CDK, benefits, how to do it in a production system, and more. We have got a lot of amazing content to go over in 10 minutes, so let's jump right into it. Now, whether you are new to infrastructure as code, or you are an expert in AWS CloudFormation, I would highly recommend creating new infrastructure with AWS CDK. AWS CDK has several benefits over its AWS CloudFormation predecessor. One, you write and maintain a lot less code. Here's some examples from some projects that are delivering value to users in production. These projects were initially written with CloudFormation YAML and have since been migrated to AWS CDK. An AWS API Gateway, which was previously 274 lines of CloudFormation, is now 31 lines of CDK, 88% less lines of code. A best practice asynchronous Lambda project containing AWS SQS, AWS Lambda, and AWS SNS was originally 342 lines of CloudFormation. This has since been reduced to 107 lines of AWS CDK, a 68% reduction. Note that this CDK migration was done simultaneously with a feature enhancement, so most likely the older CloudFormation number should have been higher here, and we should have seen a higher percentage here as well. We also see similar improvements with other services, such as AWS Fargate and Amazon S3. 2, you can maximize the potential of your developer tools across the entire developer toolchain. For example, IDEs, and yes, this also includes you Vim folks out there. IDEs were made to work very well with programming languages, CDK, and not necessarily a custom language defined in YAML or JSON, CloudFormation. These IDEs can help provide auto-completion, built-in documentation, and other automated recommendations to not only speed up, but also clean up your infrastructure. There's also other benefits from writing infrastructure with programming languages. They bring compiler errors to your local machine. You hate to see those red squiggly lines, but they provide early feedback loops to make sure your infrastructure is valid as soon as you write it, instead of noticing everything breaking after all the code is written and then later being sent to the cloud. Flexible abstractions are here as well, being able to leverage the power of programming languages while still having an API that allows you to fine-tune resources for your use case. Leveraging the simplicity of using abstractions while not being locked into our particular type of abstraction makes writing infrastructure a breeze. Dependencies. With CDK, you can leverage the power of existing package management technologies. Examples including NPM, Maven, pip. These systems are global and have stood the test of time. Leveraging these dependency tools with your infrastructure allows you to build on the foundation of already written best practice open source and internal infrastructure. Support. You are creating resources on the AWS platform. It goes hand in hand to use an AWS infrastructure tool. You have the large online community of AWS users to gain knowledge from, as well as the official support channels provided by AWS themselves. 3, skills and motivation. There's also a psychological aspect as well. Being comfortable with AWS CDK means being more confident and skilled with at least one programming language. This means that you become a more well-rounded developer by being able to work with both infrastructure and programming skills simultaneously. It also allows you to onboard a wider range of developers onto your teams quicker, leverage the wider subset of people that either have more infrastructure knowledge or the people that have more programming language knowledge, and you can provide a maintainable growth to your infrastructure. The work that you do today will help you create more infrastructure more quickly in the future and will motivate your teams to create high-quality, reusable software. All right, let's go over how we can migrate from existing production CloudFormation to production CDK. For example, let's start with a project that we want to migrate that declares the following resources in CloudFormation: an SQS queue, an AWS Lambda that pulls from the SQS queue, and an SNS topic, which the AWS Lambda publishes to. Also, we will attach a publisher to the queue and some subscribers to the topic for inbound and outbound traffic. Our customers need to use our systems 24 hours, 7 days a week. So we run into the challenge of needing to migrate with zero downtime. To solve the problem of zero downtime, we can use a blue-green strategy, like the ones used in CI/CD pipelines. We take the strategy to move quickly while also having a backup strategy once something fails. Here are the steps. Create a new project where your new CDK infrastructure will be located. This process varies per company. Step number 2, create AWS CDK code that represents prior CloudFormation code in your new project. Recommendation here is to work backwards in your stack, which will allow for easier rollbacks. Step number 3, reconnect old resources to new resources. This includes data migrations. Step number 4, if you have more resources to migrate, go back to step number 2. Step number 5, retire the old project. And then step number 6, you are finished. Let's go through these steps with our example. Starting at step 1, let's create a new project. Step 2, we need to choose an AWS resource to move over. According to the recommendation, this would be the SNS topic. Step 3, we want to connect our new topic to our existing infrastructure. Because we already have subscribers on the old SNS topic, we may need to update the Lambda to support multiple outbound SNS topics until we have all the subscribers moved to this new topic. Step 4, we just started, so we're going back to step number 2. Step 2, the next infrastructure we'll want to port over is our AWS Lambda. Step 3 will be straightforward. Connect your old SQS to your new Lambda. Connect your new Lambda to your new SQS SNS topic. While the Lambda was easy to move since it is stateless, we will soon see the differences when moving a stateful service, in our case, the SQS queue, but similar concepts would also apply to technologies like Amazon S3. Step 4, we go back to step number 2 again. Step 2, let's create our new SQS queue. Step 3, we will want to have our new AWS Lambda pull from our new SQS queue and have any inbound connections point to the new queue. When the number of messages on the old queue drains down to 0, we will be able to retire this old queue. For stateful services that might not automatically drain, like Amazon S3 or DynamoDB, we will want to move this data ourselves from the old resource to the new resource. Usually following what AWS best practice recommendations are for moving this data. You would do so during this step as well. Step 4, we check our list of resources that we've migrated, and we've noticed that we've migrated all of the resources to CDK. So now we can move on to step 5, which is the cleanup step. Step 5, this is where we stop any old running CloudFormation services. We update any of the documentation. We update the code to make sure that it's not referencing any of these old CloudFormation services, and we move the old project into a README state. And then we're on to step number 6. We're done. Now that we've covered the benefits and have migrated a project, let's cover some things you may not know about CDK. The open source community for CDK is amazing. As shown by the AWS CDK GitHub page, the communication between developers from all different backgrounds have been the best that it has ever been. CDK is already a very useful product, but it'll only get better as more developers get familiar with the tools. And then there's also a concept of infrastructure paralysis. When you already have working infrastructure, there can be a hesitation to migrate to new best practice infrastructure tools. You are not alone. My teams have faced challenges of whether we should migrate certain projects now, or if it's a better use of our time to deliver on new features. The worst thing you could do is not having a plan. Have a conversation with your team and see where migrating old CloudFormation to new CDK fits in your product strategy. As a side note, when starting completely new, I would recommend going straight to using CDK. Before I go, I would like to thank my employer, Liberty Mutual, as well as the organizers of CDK Day for giving me this opportunity to present to you. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to me at my website, andyln.com, or through the CDK Day Twitter. Thank you for attending and have a wonderful day.